Hello, this is Joe Pryor, the virtual real estate team in Oklahoma City, and that first video gave us an introduction and an overview about existing property. So now, how do we find something that's your best buy? Now, let me say, first of all, let's exclude some things that we're not going to do together, that my team doesn't do. First of all, we don't do cheap property. We're not going to get into $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 homes for you with needle in a haystack searches, and probably something that's going to give you a lot of bad people coming in. They're not going to be able to pay their bills. We want quality property that gets a quality tenant with a good credit rating, 3.5 times or 4 times the income of what the rent is. We want to make sure that that house is not torn up, that people pay on time, and it becomes something that's pretty hassle-free for you. That's our objective. So that's out of the question. The second thing is we do not do fix and flip. We're not in that business. It's not a good market in Oklahoma City to do fix and flip anyway. And it's just not something we're really involved in, so that's not us. So we want you to understand that. Doesn't mean that we're not gonna have properties that we're gonna recommend that may need a little bit of work done to it. It's just that we're not looking for basket cases. We're not looking for something that's a total rehab that you can make money on. So now, that being said, how do we investigate? How do we really determine what we're going to recommend to you? Well, first of all, if we see a property that meets your parameters based on what we've talked about in Zoom meetings and what we've set up for you, one of the things that we're going to do is, first of all, find out how many renters are in the area. So in new construction, that's pretty easy. We know the developers, we know the builders, we know the restrictions in the neighborhoods, but in existing neighborhoods, that's not something that's automatic, but we do have a program that shows us non-owner occupants, which means, are they investors and not owner occupants? Now, not all of them are. They may have a post office box or something like that, that is where they get their mail. But if we see something like a bunch of LLCs, that'll tell us about how many investment properties are there, and we do not want to oversupply. That's a really bad thing to do. So that's number one in terms of what we look for. Now, number two, we're looking with our property manager for something that's highly desirable for tenants. So what he's going to do is say, hey, this is the typical tenant we get here. This is the demand. These are the amount of leads that I get in that area for that school system, whatever it happens to be. And so I'm feeling pretty good about this in terms of if you find something there. Now, the other thing is it a 3-bedroom? Is it a 4-bedroom? What's the way that it's set up? And then what our property manager does is he looks at it and says, well, here's the typical rent. It's going to be $1,200 to $1,300 or something like that. And I can put it into a spreadsheet and discover whether it gets you the return on investment that you really deserve for taking that existing property. Now, other things that we look at is the quality of the school systems, the amenities around there, and even where it's located within the neighborhood. So if it's the 350 home neighborhood and it's the first home you drive into, we're not really enthusiastic about that because number one, of just the noise of the street that goes by the neighborhood, the amount of traffic going in and out of the neighborhood. If it's a weird yard, a weird floor plan, whatever it happens to be, we're going to look at all these things to determine whether it's something that we recommend to you. So number one, we're going to do a CMA. That's a market analysis. We're going to see what the relative value of it is. We're going to take out the high highs and the low lows, get most of what it looks like the value is. And if it's under that value, fantastic. The second thing is everything else we just talked about. Does that create a good investment? A good buy is not automatically a good investment if it sits on the market for 6 months with no tenant. That's the thing to avoid. So we're going to put the two of those things together and find you the home that's going to make you money.